On his first day in office, President Donald Trump signed an executive order withdrawing the United States from the World Health Organization. But does it go far enough? The bold move by, once again, President Donald Trump has many questioning the intentions and actions of the WHO, jumping for joy. And while I think this is a step in the right direction, there is some lackluster and ambiguously worded verbiage housed within this executive order. Now, under the directive, President Trump is reversing President Biden's 2021 decision to halt the U.S.'s withdrawal from the WHO, which was a move first initiated by Trump in 2020 due to the organization's mishandling of the COVID-19 pandemic. But then, when Biden took office in 2021, he stopped the exit shortly thereafter, and the U.S. has been a key player in assisting the WHO in strengthening its mandate by proposing this new pandemic agreement and assisting in amending existing legally binding international health regulations ever since. In addition to the WHO's mishandling of the COVID-19 pandemic, the executive order also notes that the private organization has failed to implement necessary reforms and gives undue political influence to certain member states. Trump states in this order that the WHO demands unfairly onerous payments from the United States far out of proportion with other countries' assessed payments, and that China, with a population of 1.4 billion, has 300% of the population of the United States, yet contributes nearly 90% less to the WHO.
What is this one?
Withdrawing from the World Health Organization, sir?
Ooh, that's a big one. So we paid $500 million to World Health when I was here, and I terminated it. China, with 1.4 billion people, we have 350 to pay. We have, nobody knows what we have because so many people came in illegally, but let's say we have 325. They had 1.4 billion. They were paying 39 million, we were paying 500 million. It seemed a little unfair to me. So that wasn't the reason, but I dropped out. They offered me to come back for 39 million. In theory, it should be less than that, but, you know. And when Biden came back, they came back for 500 million. He knew that you could have come back for 39 million. They wanted us back so badly, so we'll see what happens.
Mr. President,
pretty sad to think of it. China pays 39 million, and we pay 500 million. And China's a bigger country.
Dating back to 2020, Trump repeatedly accused the organization of enabling China to cover up the origins of COVID-19 and facilitating its global spread. In early 2021, the WHO dismissed the theory that the virus originated from a lab leak at the Wuhan Institute of Virology in China, calling it extremely unlikely. However, a final report released in December by the U.S. Oversight Committee's Coronavirus Subcommittee suggested otherwise. They found that the lab leak theory for the origin of COVID-19 is supported by 5 key points. The virus has unique biological traits not found in nature. All early cases trace back to a single human introduction. Wuhan is home to a lab known for its risky gain-of-function coronavirus research. The Wuhan Institute of Virology researchers fell ill with COVID-like symptoms in late 2019, and no conclusive evidence of a natural origin has emerged despite extensive scientific investigation. Now, Trump's latest move is certainly a slap in the face to WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, who just begged for $1.5 billion in funding last week, backed by fear-mongering rhetoric about keeping everyone safe from an indefinite health emergency. But is this enough? Under the action, it states that the U.S. intends to withdraw from the WHO, so that is odd wording. Not that they will or have, but that they intend to. Trump did explicitly revoke Biden's Executive Order 13987 from January 25, 2021, of organizing and mobilizing the United States government to provide a unified and effective response to combat COVID-19 and to provide United States leadership on global health and security. Now, the next action reads as though it will work closely with the military, directing the Assistant to the President of National Security Affairs to establish directorates and coordinating mechanisms within the National Security Council apparatus as deemed necessary and appropriate to safeguard public health and fortify biosecurity. Direction is given to the Secretary of State and the Director of the Office of Management and Budget budget to pause, not suspend, U.S. government funding and support to the WHO, recall U.S. personnel and contractors working with the WHO, and find credible partners to take over the WHO's responsibilities, which lends to a few questions. Why isn't the funding being terminated? Who are these supposed contractors, and how are credible partners to be chosen? I suppose time will tell, but we should all pay close attention. The last action commands the director of the White House Office of Pandemic Preparedness and Response Policy to review, rescind, and replace the 2024 U.S. Global Health Security Strategy as soon as practical. So that will also be an interesting development to see what exactly that policy is replaced with. Under the order, the Secretary of State will immediately notify the UN and WHO of the United States withdrawal, or I suppose the intent to withdraw. During this process, the U.S. will halt negotiations on the pandemic agreement and amendments to the international health regulations, but negotiations on the IHR have stopped and they were adopted by the World Health Assembly on June 1st, 2024, so I don't think this goes far enough. Trump would have to send an official letter revoking the U.S. from this legally binding international law. While President Trump's executive order is an influential step toward challenging the unchecked power and control of the World Health Organization, parts of it are vague and warrant further action, particularly when it comes to the IHR amendments and withdrawing from the WHO rather than just threatening to. The order raises questions around why the decision to pause funding rather than end it altogether, and who will assume the WHO's responsibilities and what will replace the current global health strategy. This is a pivotal move, don't get me wrong. On the global scale, it's very important, and I know many of us here in Canada are watching closely. For Rebel News, I'm Tamara Ugolini. Unelected bureaucrats at the WHO have been pushing for increased control under the guise of health preparedness for years, and until recently, their conduct was largely done behind closed doors and in secret. But if you're a citizen who wants to stay informed and stand up against this, please check out our website at Expose the WHO. There you can sign our petition opposing the pandemic treaty and support our work to stay up to date with our latest reporting. That's exposethewho.com.